What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. The mustache is gone. Gonna address that right now, right off the bat. I grow one every year for Helen, Georgia, for the show in Helen, Georgia, rather. And now that it's over, we're back to trying to look much younger than I really am. Today, just kind of getting caught up here in the shop. You may remember I robbed a couple tires off the Epsilons, off the Corvair, for the front BBS RSs on the Porsche. But those new tires came in right before the weekend of Helen, so I was able to mount these back on the Epsilons. I have yet to get those back on the car, so we're gonna put the Corvair back together. I've got some 195 45/16s that were originally gonna go on the front of the Porsche, headed back out. Those are getting returned. And we have the 700 back in the shop. I forgot to disconnect the battery. That sat for almost a month and was dead. So I've just charged that up. Might take one of these to run and get a coffee real quick. I am under the gun. As I've probably mentioned in the last couple episodes, I am currently working on two of the Tuner Evolution shows, one in Las Vegas and one in Puerto Rico. Got the faces cutting now. I leave for Europe next week, and I'm going to be gone for 3 weeks to the day. I am a judge at ULTRACE this year in Poland, which I talked about a couple episodes ago. I can't thank Adrian and his team enough for even considering me, for bestowing that honor. I am so excited to get over there and go to that show. I travel to Europe basically every year. I try to go at least once a year, every summer, to frequent some shows over there, but I have not attended ULTRACE yet, and it's been on the list. It's one of the greatest shows in the world, in my opinion, and I cannot wait to not only go, but to be a part of it. So thank you so much again to Adrian and his team, and for all the accommodations. Before I leave, as I mentioned in a couple previous episodes, I had so much to finish on that Porsche before going to Helen, Georgia, that I pushed quite a bit of commission work off. And now I've got 1 week to get caught up. I am running my laser day and night, basically. These are clear. It just has blue film. But these are the centers of the Tuner Evo Awards. These are the faces, which are two-color satin black that engrave white. It's a two-color acrylic. I'm making the Puerto Rico Awards and the Vegas Awards because I didn't realize that both of those shows take place while I'm in Europe. So it is crunch time, full throttle to get those done, acrylic welded together. They're a 4-piece award, so there's 4 different pieces of acrylic, a front, a middle, a back, and a base that all get acrylic welded together. That's the longest operation of everything. This is the bases and the backs cut from 6mm black acrylic. You notice the Porsche is not here in the shop. Well, the Porsche did not make it home yet. I've had too much to do, as you can see, to get done here in the shop to worry about the Porsche. So that is still at my friend Elliot's place. We've been diagnosing what may have caused the issue in the clutch when we were leaving Helen. But you saw in the last episode, that's where I left the Porsche. I just left that at Elliot's house to just stay there until I get back from Europe. But might not be a major deal. We've kind of been pulling some things apart, or he's been pulling some things apart, and just because he's curious as to what may have happened. And there's a slight chance I might be able to go get it before I leave for Europe so it can stay inside the shop since Elliot doesn't have any indoor storage for that car. So I've got my fingers crossed that maybe we can get the thing fixed and driven or trailered back here at the very least so it can stay in here for the month of June. So that's a quick update on the Porsche. By the end of this episode, we might have more info. As I'm filming this, I'm not sure yet. Hopefully we can figure something out before we go. But for now, my laser machine's just about done on an operation. So let's get this thing running and go get a coffee. All right. If you guys have been on the channel long enough, you'll know that I had designed and laser cut an acrylic center console in this car that I laser cut some cup holder holes in. Now they were in the wrong spot. There's no space in this car at all. But when you went to shift, your elbow would hit them basically. But there was a spot for cups for a while. Then once I went to the 3P manifold and management, I made this stand for it. And then I basically, where the e-brake used to be, I made this acrylic block off plate with a laser engraved, laser cut leather pad that I glued to it. Almost acts as like an anti-slip for an iPhone. You can set your phone down on that while you drive and it won't slide because it's leather. One half of the Duncan run done. Well, boys, we made it. Afternoon coffee runs back home in New Hampshire were like my favorite thing. Right around 3 p.m. Halt all production. Running into town in one of the cars. Dunkin' Donuts just hits different in the Northeast where they're from, you know? It's a little bit different down here in the South. All right, guys. So while it's been a long time since I've done anything with the Governor's Club, I've decided to integrate it into the Ludwig's Garage stuff I'm doing with some of these pop-up meets in Europe next week. And along with that, being invited to be a guest at ULTRACE, or a guest judge at ULTRACE, I thought it'd be a really cool idea to make my own award, basically, to give to my favorite car there. Apart from the official judging of the show, this will be something I just find the owner of a car that I really like and just privately give it to him. And I thought about doing that at both ULTRACE and at Players Classic in England the following weekend. I've decided to make it out of gold that engraves black. So I've put the Ludwig's Garage logo on it with the Euro Tour 2023 logo and the monogram with just favorite car. All right, well, the Corvair's outside getting some sunlight for the first time in well over a month. We'll probably take this for a drive today just to stretch her legs. All right, guys, we are in Blairsville, Georgia. You guessed it, headed to Elliot's place. Over the last week after Helen, Georgia, Elliot and I have kind of been talking about what may have gone wrong. Specifically, it was obviously clear that something in the clutch let go. We weren't sure what that was. So it looks like we've figured out what the problem was and have been able to fix it. So this trip out is to recover it and drive it back to Chattanooga. So we're going to catch up with Elliot here shortly and we'll show you guys exactly what happened. All right, so this is the first time I've seen the 924S aired out around any of Elliot's cars here. The last time this car was here was when I picked it up and it was bone stock. So coming down the road here, looking through the hedges as we pull in the driveway, he's got it aired out here right in front and it looks so crazy around all the other differently modified 924s and 944s. Well, Elliot was nice enough to replace the old shift knob would just pull right off and it was just kind of like cobbed together. So this one's a 944 shift knob.
Yeah, here's the original, and this thing was like...
Yep. Yeah, every time he'd pull back into second gear, he'd pull this thing right off. So yeah, that was really nice of you.
Yeah, and it had this cheap little boot, which looked all right. It just didn't fit very well, and it didn't look as good as this. This is just a used boot out of a parts car.
But that looks great.
That looked a lot better.
And it doesn't pull off, so you can actually like drive it spiritedly without thinking about the shifter coming off.
Yeah.
All right, so first drive, and the clutch already feels 100% better. I mean, Elliot had only driven it when he first purchased the car, then when he sold the car, and then it came back to him for a brief period for just kind of like a checkup, and he noticed the clutch was starting to feel a little bit different. But by the time I bought it, and by the time I was driving it a lot, this thing was bad. Like, we'll show you when we get back from this drive what actually happened, because he sent me some photos as we were diving into it, and yeah, it's crazy, and it's kind of a good example of what an improper installation can lead to. That what happened before Elliot even bought the car. So we'll take it for a quick drive. So this thing definitely already feels 100% better. I mean, and like I said before, it'll make sense when we show you what we found inside the bell housing.
Yeah, to me it feels better planted than a stock suspension car.
Yeah,
and it's like going over bumps on a straight road feels a lot better. It's not as bouncy and like
floaty,
swooshy. Yeah,
right.
But it's not like rock solid like a track car,
right?
Which is
exactly.
not the goal, you know. So I think it feels just right. Yeah, if you took someone for a ride at this height and not told them it was bagged, I don't think they'd ever know.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's good to know from all the ones that you've driven over the years, both for street and track use. That's a huge compliment to what's been done under this car.
Yeah.
So the evidence. Look at this. Oh, man. First of all, we're missing a couple. Second of all, can you even see how thin and how worn down? Look at that step right there.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be a step at all.
No, not at all.
Yeah, you'll see a little, like a clean mark.
Like a polish
basically.
mark, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, but this ring right here was riding down in there the wrong way. So yeah, this ring is actually supposed to have a little snap ring groove on the inside, and it's completely worn itself away to the point where that snap ring that's right here actually pulled through this ring. You see that?
Yep.
And that's what caused the failure. So that snap ring that's supposed to hold this piece no longer was able to hold it, and it popped out, and therefore you weren't able to operate the clutch anymore.
And that was probably the pop.
Yeah, that's because the inside of this wore itself out because it was riding like that.
Yep.
When it should have been like this with a little groove there for the snap ring to sit into.
So basically, whoever did the clutch last installed the throwout bearing improperly.
Right.
It seems like.
Yep. Yeah, something as simple as this being installed upside down.
Wow.
Caused all that mess.
Yeah, and there's the evidence. I mean,
yep.
That's crazy. So basically, what's been replaced in the car now is what you see here, including a bell housing.
Yeah.
Throwout bearing, clutch disc, pressure plate, couple of crank sensors.
Yep.
Slave cylinder seemed to be good, so kept the slave cylinder in there.
Yeah.
You're saying that those are like...
So the plug disintegrates.
Oh, man.
The plastic around here just crumbles, basically. And the other issue is that the sensor gets stuck inside this bracket, and it won't come out. Now this one, I got it moving, so now it comes out.
Right.
But when it was in the car, it was so stuck I couldn't get it to go. I mean, it was just rock solid.
Yeah.
So I had to remove the whole bracket. So I ended up replacing the bracket and the two sensors.
So it's kind of crazy in these cars where the transmission is in the rear of the car, and that has to get dropped. So axles come out.
Yeah.
Transmission comes out.
Yep.
Torque tube has to get pulled back so you can get the bell housing off.
Yep.
And it should be noted that Elliot doesn't work on other people's cars. We've kind of been working together on this project right from the get-go, both from purchasing the car through tidbits, like the rear sway bar and some other parts that I needed here and there just for upgrades or for modification. And so when this happened, Elliot and I talked about, whether or not I was going to have this thing on my lift at my shop when I got back from Europe, and basically be calling him all the time being like, what's the next step? But since he's the professional, and we had some time this last week right after Helen to kind of like dive right into this car and figure some things out. So huge thanks for helping me out on this car. And
of course.
And I'm really eager to drive it home now because, man, that clutch feels so much better than it did before.
Yeah, I bet.
Well, now I think we're going to grab some lunch before we hit the road home. And Elliot might take his 924S. Go for a little 924S cruise. get spicy. Wow-wee. That was spirited.
I'm gonna throw up.
That was the most spirited drive in this car yet. That is for sure. All right, guys, well, that was the most spirited I've ever driven that car. Probably the most spirited that car's ever been driven, I'd say. But the car handles amazing. That clutch feels so much better. We just got some lunch. We're taking advantage of this beautiful afternoon. We're about ready to hit the road home. See you guys. All right, guys, we are on the road home. It's real windy, so this is probably super loud. About a 2.5 hour drive ahead of us. Coffee is in hand. Only got about 3 hours of sleep last night with everything I have to finish before we leave for Europe in just a few days. So here we go. Beautiful drive. It's Sunday of Memorial Day weekend and the weather is just perfect. It's like mid 70s, no humidity, bright sunshine, beautiful day. So here we go. Looking forward to this drive on the way home. All right, guys, well, we are home. The 924S made the 3 hour-ish drive home from Blairsville, Georgia. No problems, not a problem. And indeed, it's driving better than it ever has in my ownership. Huge thanks to Elliot. I can't thank him enough for all of the help. He's been a massive help since day one on this project. He's the reason why I even got the car in the first place. So right on through till now, he's been an instrumental role in helping me with this project. And I just want to thank him again for all of his help. We spent more time out there today than I really planned on, but when it's a 3 hour drive and it's Sunday and Memorial Day weekend, beautiful weather, we just decided to go get lunch, go for a nice windy drive, which was the most fun I've had in a car in a really long time. Lack of sleep, and I got a long night tonight. It's going to be some late nights the next couple nights before we leave. I can't wait to see you guys in Germany this weekend. We're going to be doing a Cars and Coffee, Ludwig's Garage, and Governors Club pop-up meet at my friend Robert's shop, Edelweiss. I put his Instagram right here on the screen. Check him out. That's where we're going to be having our Cars and Coffee event this upcoming Sunday at 9 a.m. So make sure to follow me on Instagram where I'll be posting daily stories and we'll be letting you guys know where we're going to be doing these pop-up meets and when over the next 3 weeks while I'm in Europe. So remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate all of you guys' support. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode from Germany.